Hey everyone, it's Josh Vision, and there's a few things I have to say about this upcoming review. I think that this review is going to be a hell of a lot shorter compared to my last few reviews in regards to the past few episodes of Vikings for season 4B. And damn, what happened in this episode has definitely changed everything in regards to the series and the character. And this is definitely the most shocking moment. You know, wow, I was not seeing this coming. But yeah, let's go on with the review. So we begin this episode with Ragnar in a prison, at least not in the cage anymore, right? But yeah, he's in the prison and he's looking to a cauldron of water or barrel water, whatever. He's looking at his reflection, and then he just hits the water, to get rid of psychic reflection. We have King Egbert coming to Ragnar's prison, and Egbert's like, regards to your son Ivar. I've already arranged, a ship to take him back to his kingdom, but the captain wants to leave today. And Ragnar's like, you know what? I have to see my son before, he goes off. And after that, we have a very interesting scene between Ivar and Alfred. Now, in regards to history, we know that Ivar and Alfred were constantly fighting each other for decades. You know, from that great heathen army, which took place, I believe, in 865 and so on and so forth. They were literally going at each other left and right because the Vikings were able to take over the majority of England except for Wessex, which King Alfred, was from, and so on, and so forth. So I just found that this seems very interesting. You have Ivar and Alfred playing chess, and Ivar, as we know, especially from I believe the season 4A finale, episode 10, the last ship, Ivar is really good at chess. As he was able as a 5-year old or 6-year old to just beat his mom like like it was nothing. At one point, he called her. He said that was a stupid move. You're stupid, and all that stuff. So we know Ivar is very intelligent. You know, obviously as shown in this part of season 4. Um, but it seems though, in terms of intelligence, whatever, Alfred is Ivar's equal. Much, and it's kind of ironic, considering that how Ragnar and Athelstan were the best of friends, how these two are eventually gonna end up the worst of enemies. You know. So, anyways, Alfred and his playing the chess game. Alfred thinks he has him beat, and Ivar thinks he has Alfred beat, and Alfred makes a move that really surprises Ivar, and Ivar just had to look like, not a bad move. You're better than I thought. So after that, Egbert's soldiers come and pick up Ivar, to take him, to his father. We have this last scene between Ivar and Ragnar. It's a really powerful scene in which Ragnar lets Ivar know that they're going to take Ivar back to Kattegat. And Ivar doesn't want to go back. And Ragnar's like, don't be stupid. You are very important. And I was like, I'm not leaving without you. I've always said it'll be a good thing for me to be burnt, and fired, something along those lines. And then this pisses off Ragnar. Ragnar's like, listen to me, you little shit. He's like, you have many gifts. You don't think like most men. You are unpredictable. It's your intelligence and those other traits, that I mentioned, that I see you being the future for our people. And what's interesting after Ragnar said that, Ivar said, and it seemed like Ivar was genuine about this. He said, I wish I wasn't always so angry. And Ragnar replied, then you would be nothing. And then Ivar said after that, maybe I could have been happy. And Ragnar's like, happiness is nothing. Then Ivar retorts in an epic way, I was only joking, stupid, and proceeded to smack his father upside the head. which made Ragnar chuckle. So we have this final, and then after that we have father and son, embracing one final time. Ragnar gives Ivar his armband, his arm ring, and Ivar is taken away and put on a carriage, whatever, and on his way to be sent, to the boat. And Ivar is given by Alfred one of the chess pieces from their game. And Ivar looks at it. So you wonder what significance that will have later in the season. You know, especially during when the season finale comes, which I believe is like 4 episodes away, something along those lines. So after that, we have this brief conversation between King Egbert and Ragnar, and King Egbert reiterates the fact that King Ayla is gonna enjoy seeing you die at his feet, right? And Ragnar's like, yeah, I'm sure he will. And Egbert's like, so what are you gonna say? And Ragnar's like, I'm gonna say, oh, how I'm so happy to meet up with the gods and go to Valhalla. And Egbert's like, but you don't believe in the gods. And Ragnar retorts. Ragnar's like, yes, I don't believe in the gods, but my sons do, and my people do. Just like how you and your people believe in your gods and faith. Once again, Ragnar kind of in an indirect way and also at the same time a very direct way saying that despite all our differences, we still need the same bullshit or false belief. Who knows? But we still need some type of faith in order to get us through the day and to give our life meaning. So after that, we have this really good scene where you see Ragnar. And you have like all the soldiers lined up, side by side of him as he's walking through seems to be the courtyard of of King Egbert villa, and you just see the music was good, and we see him sort of stopping, looking at Egbert, Alfred, Aethelwulf, and Aethelwulf's son. Maybe I forgot his name. Is his name Ethelred? I think that's probably Aethelwulf's son's name, but also Judith. So Ragnar stops and he keeps on going after looking at him. He speaks to King Egbert and Alfred one last time. And keep in mind, Ragnar literally has a shitload of guards with their spears pointed right at him, his every move. So even despite Ragnar getting damn near beat to death on several occasions during his little mini stay at Wessex, people still are scared as shit about this dude. So Ragnar has remember Athelstan's um Christian Christ little chain, and he gives it to Alfred, saying that this was your father's, so therefore it should be given to you. Because it was so precious to him, it'll be precious to you, most likely. And with that, excuse me, and with that, Alfred is really, you could tell Alfred, you know, he likes Ragnar and all that stuff. You could tell he was all those things that happen between his father and Ragnar, and obviously he was told this by King Egbert, but you could also assume Judith as well. And, you know, Alfred holds no animosity towards Ragnar. And he's like, thank you. I will never forget you. And when he says that, I'm thinking to myself, in regards to the future of this series, when Alfred does eventually grow up, and maybe he's played by Jonathan Myers, who, by the way, played King Henry VIII in Michael Hurst's previous TV series, The Tudors, which I'm not saying he is, but I'm pretty damn sure he's gonna play a grown-up King Alfred. It makes you wonder when when Alfred eventually does, save England, able to unite it, and make out a deal with the Dane law for this particular character. Will it just be King Egbert that pushes Alfred to want to make a deal with the Danes so they can all live and cordiality, or will Ragnar's influence also play a role? That's one thing I'm looking forward to in the future. And before Ragnar leaves, Ragnar mentions to King Egbert that, by the way, I hope you happy to know that Athelstan chose your god after all. And once Ragnar says that, King Egbert feels some type of way. Like, in a way, he's kind of happy. Because remember, in the previous episode, Alfred, King Egbert was wondering which god, when him and Ragnar was having that drunken conversation, which god do you think he chose? Which place do you think he chose? Think he chose our god or your gods? So Egbert has some type of satisfaction that, Allison chose his god. So maybe in his head he's like, well, at least if I die or when I die, you know what I mean? I can see him, my old friend up in the great blue sky. But anyways, so we have Ragnar literally put in the cage like he was before, and being sent off to King Ayla. So while he's being sent off to King Ayla, he has this interesting conversation, which two scenes actually, with this guy. And I remember the prophecy saying that Ragnar was going to die because the seer told him that Ragnar would die when he sees the blind man. So Ragnar sees this guy, the blind man. He's the one, like, kind of directing the horses, whatever, all that shit. And they have a brief conversation. The guy says, I heard a lot about you, Ragnar Lothbrok. I heard you kill thousands of Saxons of our people, and as well as raping and killing the women and children. And then Ragnar has a smile, and Ragnar's like, the last one isn't true, you know? And the guy mentions Ragnar. It's ironic, essentially, that despite you being essentially beat the hell up and in a cage, these men, I can still smell the fear in these men's hearts. And they think you're going to find a way to escape. And Ragnar says, I have no intention of escaping. And that's where their first conversation ends. And then their last conversation, which is probably, I think, a few scenes, give or take, after this, Ragnar asks the man, how long till we're in Northumbria? Like, he's getting kind of restless, getting kind of cranky. And the guy says, the blind guy says, only the horses would know. You know what I mean? And Ragnar, it was kind of weird. The seer shows up. And Ragnar speaks to the seer. He was like, you and the gods were wrong. He said, you guys didn't guide my fate. I guided my fate. I lived my life on my own terms, my own accordance. Not you, not the gods. I came here. I came up with the plans. Came up with this idea, the plan to come here and die here in Northumbria. It was me. Man is a god of his own fate, not the gods. Man needs the gods in order to find answers in which they're too weak to find themselves. And I was like, damn. Once again, Travis Fillmore knocking every line, every out the park. And it was kind of crazy because, in a way, the seer kind of agreed with him. The seer was like, maybe you're right. I've been with the lowly dead trying to find meaning, but maybe you are right, Ragnar Lothbrok. And Ragnar's like, what? You admitted that I was right? And just like that, the seer was gone. And then they finally make it to Northumbria, and King Ayla and his men have been waiting for this at least 20 plus years, maybe even 30, at the most. And King Ayla pretty much says to Ragnar, I've been waiting for this. I've been asking for the Lord Almighty to keep me alive just for this day. You will pay for all the women, the children, and the men, the good Christian, wholesome people that you killed over the years and whatnot. And when I was watching this, I was kind of saying to myself, it's kind of ironic. I think this show's kind of saying that how legends or stories can be kind of, fabricated in a sense. And Ragnar, he had nothing to do with the raping and but whatever. Sometimes, you need a villain in life in order to, justify your own bullshit. whatever. So pretty much Ragnar is beat the fuck up. Them soldiers were stomping mud holes, punching them. Hell, even King Ayla got into the fun, quote unquote. At one point they put Ragnar back in the cage and they suspended him high. And at nighttime, they were trying to like stab him and shit with their spears through the little holes in his cage. At one time, trying to set the cage on fire, and you have King Ayla loving it, watching this from afar, drinking and all this shit. And while this is going on, back in Wessex, King Egbert is tortured by this. He's trying to find a little bit of counsel with Judith, as he has been doing for the past, season 4, half season 4, and a little bit of season 3. That he hates the fact that he has to condemn a man, a genius man, a truly great and respectable man, to death, and he doesn't deserve it. And Judith's like, that you had no other choice, and Egbert's like, really, I don't have no choice. I'm in control of Mercia. I'm also in control of Wessex. I have the biggest, army and all this stuff, but I don't have any control. Really ask yourself that, Judith, because I, that I do have control. But after this, you have him leaving Judith. You see him go back into the scroll room where Athelstan and him used to be. Where Athelstan used to work with the paintings, trying to reacquaint back to his old monk self around in season 2, obviously before Athelstan's untimely death. And you see that Egbert had Athelstan's monkish clothes kind of hidden, in the drawer. And he puts on the clothes and he starts, I don't know, him doing penance or something. Because you see him pretty much walking in the sand. His feet are all bloody. They look kind of cut up and broken and shit. And he's clearly suffering. But it seems as though, it's like him trying to pay for all the evil things, not only that he's done, the evil things that he's done in the past. Not just the fact that Ragnar's death also plays a role in this too. We're trying to make up some little penance for all the shit that he's done. What else happened in regards to King Ayla? Once again, like the next day, they beat the shit out of Ragnar again. You have King Ayla literally have his soldiers hold Ragnar up. He's tortured Ragnar, cuts his forehead open, slices his like at one point slices his nose a little bit, and even burns his right eye. But Ragnar is not flinched by this. And this is horrifying to King Aegon and everyone else. Ragnar's taking it. He's taking it. You have King Aela trying to humiliate Ragnar, tell him to renounce his gods and all this stuff, but Ragnar won't do it. Ragnar's eating it. At one point, Ragnar got him back in the cage. And you can say to yourself, and the soldiers, they're like, what the fuck does it take to kill this guy? We done everything, and he still keeps going. It got to the point, even at nighttime, later that day, the soldiers weren't fucking with him like they were beforehand. They were all like still, just watching him sleep in the cage and shit. Maybe they gained some type of respect for him. They always respect him and hate him, but even more so than before. Of all the beating he took, and he still kept going. He did not consent. And eventually, we have this epic speech that he does, when he's about to die. Once again, he's suspended in his cage, and we find out there's a pit underneath him, and he got these motherfuckers bringing these big ass snakes to the fucking pit. And King Egbert manages to get to the scene in time to see to see Ragnar's death. You can see all the anguish and the regret and the guilt on his face. And while this is going on, Ragnar has a flashback, to his life before he dies, whatever. has a flashback of the family that he had when he was at his most happiest. Flashback of him and Lagtha divorcing, and then the return of Lagtha and Bjorn. The good and bad times he had both with Rollo and Floki, with Aslog, and with Athelstan. And despite all of this, the one consistent thing that came to him during his time is that he was thinking about his sons. All of his sons. Those are the ones that were on his mind the most. And he says this really legendary speech that I got all emotional about. He was saying, "It gladdens me to know that Odin prepares for a feast. Soon I shall be drinking ale with the curved horns. This hero that comes into Valhalla does not lament his death. I shall not enter Odin's hall with fear. There I shall wait for my sons to join me, and when they do, I will bask in their tales of triumph." The ears, if I pronounce it right, I'm sorry, will welcome me back, will welcome me. My death comes without apology, and I welcome the Valkyries to summon me home. And from there, Ragnar is dropped into the snake pit, and despite all them damn snakes biting him, Ragnar managed to stay alive for a while. And eventually, Ragnar just dies. And then the pit is literally closed as soon as his eyes close for one final time. And as soon as that happens, we see a boat coming into Kattegat. And at first, you're assuming it's Ivar's boat. But nope, that's not the case. It's this mysterious looking fellow with the exact same eye wound in the area which Ragnar had it when he got his eye kind of burnt out by King Ayla. So I'm wondering, is that Odin? Or is that like another version of Ragnar on the boat? But I'll get to that, later in my next review. So we have Ivar returning back to Kattegat. And as he returns, Lagtha notices that Ragnar's not with them. So she immediately knows that Ragnar's dead. Even though she doesn't say it, her facial expression definitely does. And we have this quick scene in which Ivar tells his brothers that Ragnar is dead. They're shocked, but when they tell Ivar that Aslog is dead, Ivar is kind of in a state of shock. You would expect Ivar usually to react with anger and yelling, but he's in a state of shock. Like he doesn't know how to deal with the way not just his father dying, but also his mother dying. In the very last scene of this episode, essentially, is King Egbert looking at that very pit where Ragnar died, and then soon transitioning to Ivar looking at that chess piece that was given to him by Alfred. And you see blood start trickling from Ivar's hands. And that look of determination that I'm going to get revenge, which he told his brothers that they're going to do, in regards to Ragnar. And definitely when it comes to Lagtha at some point. But yeah, I just want to say, before I close this video, I would like to thank Travis Fillmore for his performance of Ragnar for the past 4 seasons. Great actor. He nailed everything down. He totally got us, the audience, emotionally, connected with him, in the show. And I thought this episode really was a personification of all the badassery and the greatness that the character Ragnar showed us for the past 4, seasons, for 4.5 seasons in a way, that I mentioned. I wish Travis Fillmore the best in his career, and R.I.P. to King Ragnar. And I can't wait till the Great Heathen Army comes and Bloody Eagle, both those 2 sons of bitches, and King Egbert and King Ayla, but especially King Ayla. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching my Vikings review. Like the video if you can. Subscribe to my channel. Write some comments down below. And once again, this is your boy Josh Vision. Peace.